Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how the text classifier node works in n8n. What we're going to do is we're going to get a chat message input with the potential customer's information. We're going to use an OpenAI chat model to predict basically if this person has a low, medium, or high budget. And I'm going to show you how do you build that out yourself in n8n. So first, just to see it in action, I'm going to come over to the Skool community, copy this potential customer information across, hit open chat. And now if we paste this in, hit run, you can see our classifier is running. Our OpenAI model has predicted that this person has a medium budget because in our original message, if we come back in here, they say, I think we'd be looking to spend 5 to 10K. And inside our classifier, you can see that we have these categories and descriptions. So under 5K is small budget, 5K to 20K is medium budget, over 20K is large budget. Because they had 5K to 10K, we've classified them as medium budget correctly. The AI can make mistakes from time to time, but as long as your descriptions and prompts are accurate, which we will see now how do we implement, in most cases, you will get pretty good results. So now let's look at how do we build this out from scratch in n8n. So first we're just going to drag our chat input down and we're going to add the text classifier node. So if we come in here, click text classifier, drag the chat input across. Now we're going to add our categories, right? So I have a few examples in here. So say we wanted the first one to be low budget. And the description, we are going to copy this across. Just going to change this syntax a bit. So we have low budget, medium budget, and a high budget. And we will copy this description across. We have to connect our chat model. So I'm going to use OpenAI chat model, GPT 4.1 mini, perfect. Hit save, and we will copy our information across. This time though, we're going to change this to 50K and just see what our model outputs. So if we come into our text classifier, you can see that it's classified this as a high budget branch, which makes sense because we've entered 50K. And if we come up to our high budget, basically anything over 20K is considered, so it's classified it correctly. So if I come in here and look at the output, you can see that our high budget branch is what our AI model predicted, and quite correctly, because in our instructions, we had told it that if it's over 20K, classify it as high budget, which makes sense, right? And so what this text classifier actually is and how it works is if I come up here, I just have a little bit of a description. It's kind of like an AI powered node itself. It's just that it has the AI model and the system prompt running in the background. And how do you see that is if we come to our text classifier under options, here you can see that it has the system prompt template. Here you can come in here, click system prompt template, and you will see it. Now this is the instruction it uses by default. If you wanted to change it, you can go ahead and do so, but that kind of defeats the purpose of having this do it for you in the first place. So you can leave that as is because it does a pretty good job, but that's what it is, right? It's an AI model that's working in the background and it uses natural language processing to understand context. It doesn't need any training required and it just works out of the box. So common use cases, are like customer support, ticket routing, email categorization, social media sentiment analysis, and you may use it for lead qualification, hot, warm, or cold, or to indicate some sort of priority, or in this case, like low, medium, or high budgets. You set it up. We've just looked at a demo, and a few pro tips are to be specific with your category descriptions for better accuracy and to include examples in the description prompts, right? So if we come back in here, we have our descriptions. Now, in a budget case, they are pretty well defined because you can use like numeric figures to a certain extent. But in some other cases, like priority, it may be a little harder to do. So that's why I've included this section where you can always include examples. So, more often than not, if someone says just gathering information for now, or different examples like this, no immediate timeline, just exploring, would be nice to have eventually, it kind of indicates a low priority. Whereas if you gave it examples like this is urgent, need to start ASAP, this is becoming a real problem, it indicates a higher level of urgency or a high priority. And that's where we may use this to classify separately based on priority as well. And so high priority leads, we may use a call agent, or we may just notify ourselves and then get on the phone with them as soon as possible. Whereas if they were low priority, we may just send them an email or something like that. Okay, so because we are getting this JSON object as a relatively complex string that we would then have to pass and extract the budget value out of it, what we can do is just say, instead of single JSON object, we can just say single word, hit execute step and see what it gives us. And now you can see that we have this medium budget as is. And then like subsequently, what we could do is have a switch here, drag the content across, and then see if it is equal to, say, low budget. We'd have one route. If we added a new routing rule, so then we would copy this again, is equal to budget as our second route. And if we added a third option of high budget, then we would have our third route. So now if I execute this step, you can see that in output 1, so we can just rename these for clarity. So low budget, medium budget, and high budget. Okay, so now you can see that it's classified it as medium budget, right? Correctly so. And if we just wanted to verify, if we changed our message, so if we came back in here, copied this, pasted it in our chat and just entered, say, 25K, hit enter, our model is running, and now it's classified it as high budget, which makes sense. But basically, instead of doing this, having to write this elaborate prompt with instructions, and then having to use a switch node to then get these outputs, again, you have to label them, you have to add your conditions. Sometimes, especially when you're matching with strings, it may not match perfectly. So, I mean, it is a trade-off and something you have to experiment with, like on a trial and error basis. But this is kind of the old way of doing things. You do have more control with this. So there are definite use cases for this. But the text classifier node just abstracts a lot of this complexity and makes your life a lot easier. And essentially what you could do in that case is modify the system prompt here. In the options, you have the access here. So it says system prompt template. You may modify this with your own system prompt. So these are just like things for you to tweak and see what works best for you and your use case scenario. So that is basically how the text classifier works. It's super easy to use. You just need to be specific in your description or prompts. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.